At the northern tip of the world map, a massive white spot, often left blank at the edges of atlases, stretches out. But what if this silent whiteness behind its deceptive calm hides the most critical geopolitical key of the 20th century? Have you ever thought that this place, perceived merely as an ice desert, is actually a giant that determines our sea levels, shapes our technological future, redefines global power balances, and symbolizes humanity's ultimate test? This is Greenland, covering a colossal area of 2.2 million square kilometers, and standing as the world's largest island, it holds the second largest ice mass after Antarctica. This ice alone is powerful enough to raise global sea levels by 7.2 meters. However, what makes it unquestionably the most critical island of the future is not just this immense ice sheet itself, but the great geopolitical game hidden beneath, revolving around and triggered by its melting. Like a sphinx, Greenland confronts us with three fundamental enigmas behind its glaciers: the scale of climate, the ice's treasure map, and the Arctic's key. These three dynamics transform Greenland from a simple environmental issue into a global center of security, economy, and strategy. Now, the answers to these mysteries carry the potential to shape not only the fate of one island, but the shared destiny of all humanity. At Greenland's core, climate change beats faster and more irregularly. Scientists call it the planet's early warning system, as the Arctic region is warming at more than twice the global average, and every change here serves as a forecast for the rest of the world. So, is this melting merely a threat of rising sea levels to coastal cities? The answer is no. The situation is far more complex and interconnected. The massive freshwater flows from Greenland into the ocean risk altering salinity and water density in the North Atlantic, slowing down or potentially disrupting vital ocean currents like the Gulf Stream. These currents are the backbone of Western Europe's mild climate. Their disruption would lead to unpredictable yet undoubtedly severe global climatic, agricultural, and economic consequences. Therefore, Greenland is not just a victim, but also a global trigger. The international research stations here are at the forefront of a race among great powers, not just driven by scientific curiosity, but by the need to understand the climate crisis, prepare for its consequences, and perhaps test radical solutions like geoengineering. Climate has become the most urgent security issue, and Greenland is the sensitive scale where this issue is most clearly and measurably read. The millennia-old seal of the glaciers now points to the greatest needs and deepest dilemmas of modern civilization. Neodymium, dysprosium, terbium. These names, known as rare earth elements, form the alphabet of the green transition and the digital age. From powerful magnets in wind turbines to electric vehicle batteries, from smartphone screens to military sonar systems, from laser-guided missiles to artificial intelligence chips, nearly every advanced technology depends on these elements. Today, the heavy geographic dependency on these resources has made global supply chains fragile, creating a technological Achilles heel. This is precisely where Greenland's geological treasure comes into play. The island hosts the world's second largest rare earth element deposits, as well as significant uranium, iron, and diamond reserves. As the ice retreats, it reveals this treasure map, but brings with it a profound moral and ecological dilemma. How can we extract the minerals necessary for the green technologies needed to combat climate change while avoiding irreversible damage to the fragile Arctic ecosystem already suffering from that very change? What will be the impact of heavy machinery, waste dams, and increased maritime traffic on this pristine region? This paradox turns every investment and policy decision on the island into a profound test. This enormous potential has transformed Greenland into one of the most strategic chessboards of global competition. Especially China shows great interest in mining projects and infrastructure investments, ports, airports in Greenland to consolidate its dominance in global supply chains and gain a strategic sphere of influence. This situation fuels deep concerns about resource security and technological independence in the US and the European Union. Mining concessions are no longer just economic contracts, they are read as direct geopolitical moves, tools of a new resource diplomacy. So how can Greenland navigate its path toward economic independence and self-determination amid the rivalry of these giants? Greenland's real power lies not only beneath its lands, but in the geopolitical codes of the geography it stands on. The island is strategically positioned like a natural aircraft carrier at the intersection of two legendary sea routes opening for navigation in summer due to climate change: the Northeast Passage alongside Russia's coasts and the Northwest Passage through the Canadian archipelago. These routes have the potential to rewrite the geography of global trade by shortening sea distances between Asia and Europe and America by thousands of kilometers, for example, reducing Rotterdam-Yokohama by approximately 4,000 km, relatively diminishing the importance of the Suez and Panama canals. In such a world, every deep-water port, airbase, and electronic surveillance station Greenland possesses translates into tremendous control and monitoring power over these new sea highways. This reality inevitably reshapes military balance and alliance structures. The critical Thule Air Base, USA, a relic of the Cold War, expands its role to include early warning radar systems, anti-submarine warfare (ASW) capabilities, satellite communications, and space surveillance centers aligned with this new geopolitical reality. Parallel and competitive to this, Russia is systematically increasing its military presence in the Arctic, modernizing its icebreaker fleet, northern fleet, and building new polar bases. NATO's updated Arctic strategy places Greenland at the center of this new tension line, aiming to strengthen deterrence and surveillance activities in the region. As the ice recedes, this new area transforms into a multi-dimensional and warm competition zone. From diplomatic notes to military exercises, scientific claims to economic sanctions. At the very heart of this global chess game of giants stands the Greenlandic people of only 56,000 inhabitants, especially the Inuit majority. While climate change directly threatens their hunting traditions and millennia-old habitats, the geopolitical and economic attention directed at the island also rekindles the dream of full independence. Greenland, with broad autonomy under the Kingdom of Denmark, depends on annual block grants from Copenhagen, about 1/3 of its budget, but aims to gain economic freedom through mining and energy revenues and declare political independence. The answer to this question is far from simple. How will an independent Greenland defend itself? How will it convince powerful neighbors to respect its neutrality policy? How will it secure international recognition and diplomatic weight? Denmark walks a fine line. On one hand, constitutionally recognizing Greenland's right to self-determination and opening the road to independence. On the other, pursuing a sensitive balance policy to preserve its strategic influence and the kingdom's integrity. How much will the cultural rights of the Inuit people and sustainable development vision for future generations be prioritized at the negotiation tables of great powers and corporate investment plans? The island can skillfully use foreign investments as leverage for development, but it can also fall into a new soft colonialism trap where resources are exploited and sovereignty eroded. The coming decades will show which scenario Greenland, and through it, the world system, will evolve toward. The first and most optimistic scenario is the green and autonomous model. In this scenario, the island gains economic independence by exploiting its resources with high environmental and social standards through transparent international partnerships, also activating its enormous hydroelectric and other renewable energy potentials. It becomes neutral, science-focused, the Switzerland of the Arctic, a model of global cooperation and sustainable development. This would be a victory of multilateralism and collective wisdom. The second, more tension-filled scenario is the new Cold War front. Great power competition sharpens, and the island becomes a bargaining table and proxy arena for mining concessions and military base rights. Debt trap diplomacy, cyber operations, and information wars play out here. The tension between NATO and Russia and China crystallizes in the Arctic, and Greenland becomes the microcosm of this new polarization and securitization. A third possibility is the climate catastrophe and global trusteeship scenario. Melting gets out of control, sea level rise predictions are exceeded. Greenland is seen as a giant determining the world's climate fate and comes under intense international pressure. Resource extraction is halted on the grounds that it accelerates climatic collapse. The island may transition into an international protected zone or climate heritage area under unsupervision. This is a dystopian world scenario where global coordination has failed and emergency measures have been taken. The last possibility is the Global Cooperation Laboratory. Greenland is governed by a specially established, strongly empowered international consortium, for example, a reinforced Arctic Council dedicated to climate research, sustainable mining, and Arctic governance. Fair sharing of resources, strict environmental protection, and constitutional guarantees of Inuit rights become fundamental principles. This represents the highest level of success where humanity acts with a sense of common heritage and responsibility. Greenland is the geopolitical key of the 21st century because it holds up a striking and ruthless mirror to humanity. Our destructive relationship with the climate, our incompetence in managing scarce resources, our tendency to escalate geopolitical competition into conflict, and our reluctance to cooperate with diverse actors are all embodied in the fate of this icy island. Underneath its glaciers lie not only precious minerals, but also the answers to ultimate questions about our collective future. As its ice melts, the resilience, foresight, and wisdom of our civilization are put to the final test. The Sphinx of the Ice asks its last and hardest questions. As a species that has disturbed nature's balance, can we emerge from the chaos we have created? Will we choose long-term common interests over short-term gains? Greenland is the largest open-air laboratory where these answers are sought. And now, we can no longer afford to lose more than just an icy island. Thank you for this deep and comprehensive analysis. Once again, we clearly see that Greenland is one of the most critical geopolitical and ecological centers of the 20th century. This vast island at the intersection of climate change, the global economy, the technology race, and international politics reminds us just how vital it is for all our futures. If you want to follow these great debates shaping the future and stay informed about developments determining the fate of our world, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like our videos. Do you think it is possible to protect the climate and respect the rights of local people while utilizing Greenland's resources? Share your comments with us, let's discuss.